and fear were her constant companions.
After the 1976 Olympics, Nadia came home to a hero's welcome. She was given the Romanian Communist Party's highest honor by President Ceausescu. It was cause for celebration in a country that had little to cheer about.
I think there was an overall excitement and joy. I mean, it was one of the very few things which could actually enlighten the hearts of Romanians. And that was something that resounded in every Romanian soul.
For Nicolae Ceausescu, Nadia was invaluable property of the state and his best tool for propaganda.
Ceausescu did realize the potential which is hiding behind this popularity of gymnastics and personally of Nadia. And very soon started to use that intensively and drastically.
From behind the walls of his presidential palace, Ceausescu conspired to control every aspect of Romanian gymnastics. In 1977, after a scoring controversy, he pulled the team out of the European Championships, costing Nadia the title. When Bela Karolyi protested this action, Ceausescu removed him as Nadia's coach. She was devastated.
Somewhere at the high level, somebody thought that Bela is not a Romanian and he's got Hungarian nationality and maybe it's not good for the intern politics, you know. I end up having to change the coach, and I didn't know why, but what am I going to do? It was just a little bit confused for us. I didn't know what's happening. When we get an order to do and move to some place, we just move. We don't ask anybody why, because even if we ask, they're going to say, it's not your business.
The loss of Karolyi would not be the only heartbreak for the teenager. That same year, her parents divorced. Nadia felt alone and undirected. By 1978, with her training disrupted, clearly out of shape, and exhausted by a grueling schedule of government-ordered appearances, Nadia faked a suicide attempt. Her balance was gone, both personally and professionally. It was a cry for help.
I wasn't thinking so good probably at that time. I didn't know what I wanted. It was just that time when you just grow up, 16, 17, you don't know what to do. Things change in your perspective. You're not sure where you want to go, what direction. Everything is getting confused.
Is this the child who charmed 1 billion people? Is this the fragile Nadia Comaneci, heroine of Montreal? It is, but 2 years and more later, 20 pounds heavier and much, much older.
Of course, she's doing exactly the same routine she did. Oops, a fall that completely knocks her out.
Nadia Comaneci completely coming apart on the uneven bars where she thrilled the world in Montreal.
You can see there's a little bit.
It was the first time that we saw Nadia fall, and you felt very badly. You know, it was like this champion who was crumbling before your eyes, and it was devastating. You didn't want to see the sport do this to her. And when she fell, it was as if I'm sure she felt she'd let everybody down. And it was probably the lowest point in her career.
Shirago Massacre has at least a 5,000.
Of success and unwilling to accept a life of anonymity in Romania, Nadia reunited with Bela Karolyi to stage a comeback that would stun the gymnastics world.
It was very hard for me to come back. I thought that it's going to be the ending of, I'm going to somehow just disappear from gymnastics. There was something inside that told me, you can do it. You've got to try it.
Because she had come from the pits, emotionally and career-wise, it was an even greater triumph, and that was really exciting.
We will never know all of the causes to Nadia's problems early on. The most important thing about all those problems is the fact that she overcame them. Not only within her gymnastics career, because she did. She came back as strong as ever. In 1979, I saw it with my own eyes.
Many believe that 1979 was Nadia's greatest year of gymnastics competition. Once again lean and powerful, she won her third all-around title at the European Championships. At the World Cup in Tokyo, she took first place in the uneven bars and balance beam, along with the all-around title. Capping a year of glory at the Moscow Games in 1980, Nadia won the gold in the floor exercise, balance beam, and only after a 28-minute scoring controversy narrowly missed the gold in the all-around. In her career, Nadia won a total of 9 Olympic medals, 5 of them gold. She accomplished what few in the sport have been able to do, compete as a mature woman and win. Finding focus and trust again, the combination of Bella and Nadia was magic. But barely 6 months after her Olympic victories, at the end of a tour in the United States with a Romanian team, Comaneci defected. Shocked by his disappearance, she made a desperate attempt to find him.
I tried to get his room key and to see what happened if he's in the room, and it was hard to get his room key because the housekeeping didn't want to give him the room key. And I said, I forgot something in that room, and please let me in because I have something that I have to get out. So she opened the door, and when she opened the door, it was empty. And then it was like a shock for me, just something that cut my knees down. I realized that I think he's not going to come back.
We started to realize we still just simple tools in the hand of the government. We do not have, and we cannot have our own opinion. We cannot keep our own integrity. We cannot express ourselves. Then became very frustrating, and later almost unbearable to live in the same type of, in the society, where you are simple, only just a tool, only just a toy in the hand of the government.
Just before the 1984 Olympics, Nadia's life would change quickly. From the extraordinary to the ordinary, when she ended her competitive career at an emotional farewell exhibition in Bucharest. ABC's Chris Schenkel was there.
The Cassidy crowd, in love with Nadia Comaneci, who had lumps in her throat. I have one now, because you knew that was the last time Nadia was going to get on the beam and do as well as we had seen her do. And it was just the end of a competitive career for this lovely young woman.
Unlike other communist sports systems, Romania's was neither generous nor benevolent. There would be few privileges after gymnastics and only fool's gold at the end of her rainbow.
I always dream about things that happened to me after I did things, but they were just dreams. You know, I hoped and hoped and hoped, and things didn't happen that way.
10 years ago, when Nadia said farewell to her sport and stopped winning gold medals, she began to realize the Ceausescu regime's use for her had changed, and that's when she began to dream of freedom. In 1984, Ceausescu defied a Soviet-led boycott, entering Romania in the Los Angeles Olympics.
A standing ovation from 88,000 for Romania, which spoke its own mind by coming to the games despite the boycott by the Soviet and their other allies.
It was a calculated move to camouflage human rights abuses at home and gain favor with the West. Sent as an ambassador of goodwill, Nadia was closely watched for fear she might defect. It was the last time she was allowed to travel to a non-communist country.
I remember her very distinctly, and I could not help but thinking, if she were in any other enterprise in her life, if she was 22, 23 years old, her life would be beginning. But she was used up and thrown away. And there was something very depressing about that.
She returned home to a life of limitations. Her travel restricted by the state and her coaching skills confined to a junior team, Nadia grew increasingly restless.
The thing that frustrated me was that nobody was giving me any explanation why I'm not allowed to go anywhere and why everybody was going but me. And I never had the answers, and I knew that I could never get answers from anybody why I'm not going.
Why do you think it was, now that you've...
I think somebody out there hated me because I was too famous. Which ended up that being famous was not exactly a good thing for me.
Nadia's celebrity could not protect her from the system into which she was born. Her mail was confiscated and she was placed under surveillance. She earned less than $5,000 in her career, and what little she had was mostly window dressing.
Everybody sees that this is a pretty nice house, but nobody knew that I was sleeping with all my family in the kitchen downstairs because I didn't afford to heat all the house. So it was nice, beautiful house, but I didn't live in that because it was so cold that I couldn't sleep here. And I was ashamed of people to find out that I don't have money.
What are the circumstances that led up to your defection?
The way that the system was, when somebody was too much, it was too famous here more than to other people, then they have to be pushed down.
Are you talking about Ceausescu and his son?
I'm never comfortable to say the names.
Nicu Ceausescu, the dictator's son, was one of those who had control over Nadia's life. He could be a dangerous man to refuse. Often required to make public appearances with him, there were rumors of a romance.
No, it didn't take me. I think that because I was a well-known person, probably he liked people to see him being involved, or go to a meeting or present me. This is Nadia, the Olympic champion, and for the accomplishments that I did. And everybody starts to rumor thing about that. And but they're not the way that the people thought about it.
In November of 1989, with communism crumbling in Eastern Europe, Ceausescu re-elected himself for 5 more years. It seemed there would be no end to his madness and no way out for Nadia.
I was afraid, probably more than anybody else, because I didn't know if at that particular time if I'm followed or if I have microphones in my house, which I probably have now too. I'm not sure. I was afraid. Everybody is terrorized. You live in a communist system. You're terrorized. You don't know if you go out of the door. If it's okay if you go out with the right foot or with the left foot. You don't know what is right and what is wrong. So of course you're afraid.
Coming up, the dramatic story of Nadia's escape from Ceausescu's Romania.
The most outspoken gesture she ever made was to defect from the country. That was the point where Nadia showed herself to the Romanian public in a different light, and as a person who couldn't take it anymore.
You're watching Nadia Comaneci return to Romania on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Dream come true. For 5 years, Nadia had been dreaming of this moment. She was almost home. It was time to face the past. When we heard you left 5 years ago, we were all looking for you, and I guess you can imagine in your mind what it would be like, but when it really is happening, it's a different story.
But I'm coming easier back. I mean, probably if I could fly to go there, probably I wouldn't left. I mean, if I would be free to travel wherever I wanted to, probably it would be different now, but that's the way it is. It's much easier than walking in the night.
Nadia confided to only one person she was leaving Romania.
I made a decision here in this house. That's why I told my brother that I think I'm going to leave the country. And how he thinks about this idea. He said that he thinks that I have no life here in this country. And I'm not going to be left alone to have my own life.
I encouraged her to go and explained she had no future here. That evening, I escorted her to the border, and when we separated, I felt an emptiness in my soul. I thought we would never see each other again.
He knew that it's going to be a lot of pressure for them. It's going to be police and everything. Everybody's going to come to the house, and I told him he realized that it's going to be a big disaster for anybody here if I'm going to leave. And he said, don't worry about us. We're going to take care of us. Yeah, he said, just go ahead and do your thing and just call us to see if you made it okay.
The next day, Nadia and 7 other Romanian nationals began their dash for freedom. They boarded a train in the center of Bucharest, the first step on a long and dangerous race to neighboring Hungary, where they hoped to be given asylum. The train carrying the refugees made its way west to Timișoara. Within 2 weeks, Romania's revolution would ignite in this village. From there, it would be an all-night trek across open fields to the border.